Hello and welcome to KP's Watches. Today we have an Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra 150 for review. This watch is a coaxial chronometer. It is made of stainless steel. It has a 38.5 millimeter diameter and it is water resistant to 150 meters. Its complications is that it has a date complication, a jumping hour setting system. I don't know if it counts as a complication, but it is something that is different from the usual watches. The movement hacks, and this watch has the Omega caliber 8500 in it. Now, let's go over the front of the watch before we take a look at the stunning movement that's in the back of the watch. So here we have the silver dial variant. This is not the most modern version of the watch. I believe this watch is from around 2016. And the watch is fantastic value for money. So usually you can buy these pre-owned anywhere between 2,800 to maybe 3,500 pounds, give or take some money. And for that, you get a ton of watch. So on the front here, you have a silver dial with a vertical pattern running through it. It is very detailed. All the hour markers are sharp and pointy. They're exciting. There's lume on all of the hands, especially the seconds hand, which is very, very nice to see. The lume is bright and charges very quickly. The date window at 3 o'clock is angled and isn't just square. So that gives a bit of get a more enjoyment into the date window rather than having a simple square date window. It shows that Omega takes care and attention to detail when they build some of their watches. And this watch feels very, very high quality. So some of the things that you can do when setting the watch is you can unscrew it and it has a screw down crown, and that helps keep the water resistance up to 150 meters. The crown in the first position winds the watch, and something interesting to note here is that this watch has seals that have a decent amount of friction in them. And the movement has very, very well manufactured gears. And so when you actually turn the watch to wind it, the friction from the waterproof seals is higher than the feel of the gears when you wind the watch. And so you can't actually feel yourself winding the watch. And that's very, very impressive, actually. The second position allows you to move the hour hand in 1 hour increments. And here you can see the date being changed as well. But it allows you to set the watch an hour before or ahead without moving the minute hand. And that is great for if you're traveling, for example. If you move it to the final position, here you have the watch hack, and you can move the hour and minute hands together. We just go ahead and screw down the crown again. Have the watch run. Now, the back of this watch is very, very beautiful. It's got a beautiful sapphire display case back, which we'll bring closer to the camera right there. And in this display case back, you should be able to see the caliber 8500 with a beautiful full-length balance bridge. So this balance bridge connects on both sides of the balance wheel. And this is a new sort of feature that's being implemented in modern movements coming out. Audemars Piguet does it. Rolex has had it for a couple of years now. Grand Seiko just implemented it in the new movement. And Omega has done this, I think, in maybe the past 10 years. They just about introduced this design. The movement is beautifully decorated and has this curling Geneva stripe design. It has a silicon balance wheel and hairspring, which makes it highly anti-magnetic. It's got a 60-hour power reserve, thanks to the movement having 2 barrels. And Omega is very kind. They actually highlight barrel 1, and on the other side, if we move it here, barrel 2. So you can see the individual barrels when looking into the watch. It's quite nice to just get a bit of a peek into the world of the movement inside it. So the clasp is a twin trigger butterfly clasp, but the second side of the bracelet actually comes out by friction fit. It is not clasp released. And that's somewhat of a safety feature, I believe. Not exactly sure what the intended reason is, but if someone does press these two buttons to unlock your watch, you have to still unlock this before it will slide off your wrist. So that's something to take into account. And this buckle right here, it's rather slim, and it reminds me of the Grand Seiko design. It's not a very large, rugged sort of clasp, but I really prefer this to the bigger clasp because it adds a nice smoothness to the bracelet instead of having some sort of abrupt change to a thick metal clasp. It feels very nice on the wrist as well. This bracelet tapers very slightly. I don't know if you can see it here. It's brushed all the way through. The more modern versions have a brushed outer link and then a polished center link, and it's polished on the sides here. One of the key things about the Omega Seamaster is it has this beautiful sweeping set of bevels on each side of the case. And if you look at the case itself, you will find a plethora of finishes. So here on the bracelet, we have a straight brushed finish. The bezel is polished. We then look at the inner side of the lugs, and that's circular graining in the inside of the lugs. You then have another polished bevel here. You then have a horizontal brushing on the case's flanks, and the crown is sandblasted, and then the Omega logo is polished, and the same for the grip section is polished. And so here you actually see a very, very large range of surface finishes, and that highlights a very, very exciting and interesting watch. Whenever you look at it, you find more and more details to play around with. And the finish of the hour markers and minute and seconds hand is exquisite. You have lovely brushed and polished interfaces that sort of play with the light when you move it around. And overall, that makes this a very exciting watch. Even though not many sort of deem it so, when you actually have this watch in person, it is very, very fun to watch, very, very fun to wear, very comfortable on the wrist. And I really like it. So thank you for watching this review. If you have any comments, please leave them below. If you have any criticism that would help me improve my videos, please also leave that below, and I'll try to help implement them in the next video. Thank you, and if you enjoy this, please like and subscribe.